The movie adaptation of Thinner isn't the worst King movie I've ever seen. As far as the prosthetics and makeup effects, score, and acting go, it's above average when compared to the other King screen flops that it was sandwiched between upon release. That's not to say Thinner is without its flaws, but I felt that the good almost outweighed the bad. The critics, however, both at the time of the film's release and presently don't seem to share that sentiment, however. Hi there, I'm your host, Mr. Doyle, and this is a great undertaking. Before I get started on the Thinner movie, I just want to show off this awesome gift my wonderful wife got for me for my 40th birthday. 40? Really? How? Anyway, it's an autographed script from the It movie remake with Finn Wolfhard and Bill Skarsgård and a bunch of other cast signatures on it. This might be the coolest birthday present I've ever got, so thank you to my lovely sweetheart for this very cool gift. You are the best. All right, time to get down to business. This is the second and final video in the series for Thinner. Last week I discussed the 1984 novel and its open hostility toward corrupt power structures, and today I'll be taking a look at the film adaptation, which saw release in 1996, 12 years after the novel saw publication. The Thinner movie, like the novel, tackles themes of justice, abuses of power, and class divides. The movie, however, includes themes of betrayal and paranoia that, while not entirely absent from the novel, were heightened within the film. But before we get into that, let's talk about the movie itself and the negative critical reception the movie continues to suffer from to this day. Just like in my last video for the novel, I will be using the word gypsy on occasion within this video. Please note that gypsy is only a slur when it is used as a slur, which is not how I will be using it in this video, so to all my fellow woke lords, just calm down. I'm not racist against gypsies. In fact, some of my best friends are gypsies. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Oh, and if you enjoy this kind of King content, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and checking out some of my other videos. I've organized everything into handy-dandy playlists so you can watch each series in chronological order for maximum viewing pleasure. Thanks in advance. History and background. The screenplay for Thinner was co-written by Michael McDowell, best known for his work on the screenplay for Beetlejuice, and Tom Holland, who was coincidentally born the same year the movie was released. Damn, that guy is so talented. What's that? My producers are telling me there is actually more than one person in the world named Tom Holland, something I find preposterous and highly unlikely, but okay. Tom Holland, director of Child's Play and Fright Night, and not the latest iteration of Spider-Man, co-wrote and directed Thinner. It's interesting, but it appears that Holland's writing, directing, and acting credits legitimately stopped abruptly for a decade following the release of Thinner. Perhaps Holland needed some time to recuperate after Thinner. When this movie was released in 1996, King screen adaptations weren't doing so hot. Sure, the 90s saw classics like Misery, The Stand, and Shawshank come to the screen. However, The Langoliers, which Holland just so happened to have directed as well, and The Mangler had both seen release in 1995, the year prior to Thinner, and well, it's safe to say those two less than reputable adaptations left a bad taste in people's flavor holes. Thinner was actually the only King movie to be released in 1996, and frankly, it was uncommon for only one King movie or TV series to be released in any given year at this point. In fact, by the time Thinner was released in 96, the 90s had already seen 9 King movies and 6 King television releases, a lot of which were fucking awful. So by the time Thinner was released, one can't help but wonder if a sort of 90s King burnout had taken hold. While it didn't necessarily bomb at the box office, Thinner had a budget of $8 million and made $15 million, so it wasn't exactly a blockbuster either. Critics of the day were harsh to say the least, with reviews which contained such gems as, quote, "Like too many Stephen King movies, Thinner is all emaciated concept and no follow-through. And also, apart from its rushed pacing and occasionally stale dialogue, Thinner suffers even more from the fact that it has no redeemable characters. And one of the more pedestrian translations of the Schockmeister's books," unquote. Not everyone was as harsh, however, with some critics stating that the makeup, weight loss, and thinning effects were impressive and believable. And yeah, I have to agree, it was indeed special makeup effects artist Greg Canham's work that was the star of this particular film. Canham had worked on some big-name films prior to Thinner, including A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, The Mask, Mrs. Doubtfire, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and perhaps most notably Michael Jackson's Thriller music video. Canham designed fat suits and prosthetics which were worn by lead actor Robert John Burke, who played the rapidly deteriorating Halleck. And prior to the Gypsy's curse taking effect, there are some scenes where we see a whole lot of skin, and it's genuinely remarkable how real the prosthetics look. I found a critic who felt that the fat suit and makeup effects were, quote, "grotesquely unconvincing," unquote, and frankly, I don't know what the they're talking about. I couldn't disagree more. Following Thinner, Canham went on to work on everything from Titanic to Hannibal and Pirates of the Caribbean. Those are some pretty huge films. And so it seems Thinner didn't have the same effect on Canham's career that it appears to have had on Holland's, presumably because the makeup effects in Thinner were what most considered to be its only redeeming quality. The film currently holds a miserable 15% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average rating of 3.6 out of 10 and an equally dismal 33 out of 100 on Metacritic, so the general consensus certainly hasn't improved with time. Personally, I felt the movie wasn't nearly as bad as I had anticipated, and certainly not as bad as the critics accused it of being. That being said, I have no desire to ever watch it again, which I suppose says a lot. Was it terrible? Not for me, no. Was it remarkable? Enjoyable? Exemplary or exciting? Also no. Blame and paranoia. While the critiques of power structures and injustice from the novel are a part of the movie as well, the movie adaptation spends more of its runtime focused on Halleck's paranoia and his resentment of his wife for escaping the gypsy curse that he and his co-conspirators have fallen victim to. In the book, Halleck's wife Heidi has a hand in the accident that takes the gypsy woman's life, and in the movie, she takes things a step further and has more than just a hand in the events leading up to the accident. Halleck finds himself resenting her for escaping any consequences for her role in the incident. Halleck blames Heidi for distracting him, and the fact that she isn't suffering some slow, miserable fate alongside him infuriates him. In Halleck's mind, it is she that has escaped justice. The way he sees it, none of this would have happened had she not put the moves on him that fateful night, and, well, he isn't entirely wrong. And this resentment builds throughout the course of Halleck's degeneration. Additionally, Halleck begins to suspect that his wife and his doctor are not only conspiring against him, he believes that they are having an affair. In truth, they have been meeting in secret to devise a plan to save Halleck, who they believe has lost not only a bunch of weight, but also his shit. He's ranting about gypsy curses and magical mumbo-jumbo and tracking down the gypsy caravan, when they believe he should be seeking medical help. And of course they don't believe in gypsy curses. Who in their right mind would? But in their efforts to save Halleck from what they believe can only be a mystery medical condition, they cause Halleck to feel mocked and ostracized. As a result, Halleck's imagination gets the better of him and he convinces himself that the two are up to more than meets the eye. This suspected affair causes him to further blame and hold his wife in contempt for his condition and for the events that have led up to his slow deterioration. In the end, Halleck has a chance to end the whole thing and his suffering without hurting anyone else, but his own paranoid delusions and skewed sense of what is just lead him down a far darker path than the curse ever could have. Now, rather than the old gypsy, it is Halleck who is seeking a sort of misguided justice which causes him to destroy everything he ever loved. Even after the curse is removed, he is a desperate man whose own insecurities and moral failings provide him with a fate far worse than the one he fought so hard to escape. Final thoughts. This movie wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I didn't hate it, but I certainly didn't love it either. The makeup effects were easily the most memorable and impressive element of the experience, and the acting was mostly passable, but that just isn't enough for me to recommend this movie. If you haven't seen it, maybe keep it that way. If you have, what did you think? Was it as atrocious for you as it was for the majority of critics? Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought. Next week, I'll be starting a 2-part series for Cycle of the Werewolf, which was an illustrated story King published in 1985 and features artwork by legendary artist and regular King collaborator Bernie Wrightson. It's a short read with excellent illustrations, and there was a movie entitled Silver Bullet that was based on Cycle of the Werewolf, which I'll be covering in a separate video next week. New videos drop every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so subscribe to the channel to get reminders each week. Pretty please, thank you, and okay, goodbye. Be sure to click like and subscribe to the channel for my continued analysis of all things Stephen King, pretty please with blood and guts on top. My name is Mr. Doyle, and this has been a great undertaking.